Travis Haley, I'm stoked to have you here, man. Really, really excited. But with guys like you, everybody wants to know what you're packing to protect yourself. And so we do this segment called the Everyday Carry segment. And it's just, what are you carrying every day? You can go timepiece, gun, whatever you want. We can go anywhere you want with this. But what are you carrying to protect yourself?
Well, first off, I've been on the road for 2 weeks, so I don't have everything that I would typically carry, but I do have, because half of it's in my bags being shipped back right now. I think starting with the number one thing would probably be a gun. So right now I'm just wearing what I bought off my last class. So I've got my Glock 19X that's in my Incog X holster, an Acro on it. Grip stipple job and laser job done by Julie at Tango Customs. Guy does a phenomenal job, and got some agency arms. This is actually the Vesky slide. Super accurate barrel, probably one of the more accurate slides that I've put on. Surefire X300, and that's the basic gun.
How do you like that red dot? You're the first person I've seen come in here with that red dot.
I'm a big fan of the Acro. I mean, it's aim point, it's tried and true. That's if I've used one optic more than ever in combat, it's been the aim point. I'm not biased to any particular gun product, optic, or anything, even our holsters. Even though we make equipment, you'll still see me wearing a lot of other people's equipment. But I do really kind of favor and have gotten really happy with using this aim point Acro over time. And then the Trigicon, like new HDs, those are phenomenal systems as well. I stay away from the Chinese crap, obviously. That's kind of dominating the freaking industry.
That's what it seems. So that's not what you normally carry?
Normally I carry like a Glock 48 or a 365 with like an Icarus precision frame on it. Those are kind of my two.
Why do you carry a Glock 48? Glock 48's the longer slide, right?
Yeah.
And the 43X.
I love the feel, the fit, the full length grip, and the full length slide. And I also have mine ported as well, so it runs like a Glock 19. I can keep it that flat.
What's the carry capacity on that?
I run the Shield Arms mag, so they're metal mags in it, which is 15-1. So
interesting.
I basically got a full size gun, but it's just a slender profile, and I can conceal it much better.
Interesting.
Yeah. Or it's like I'm not going to carry that thing every day. If I was going into some places, and I'm like, I would probably bring the big boy with me. But 90% of the time, I'm running a Glock 48 with an extra mag. And I can wear that fully dressed up or all the way down to flip-flops and shorts and still maintain security and a low profile on the print.
Do you, it's getting to be wintertime. Do you seasonal carry certain pieces? Do you wear a full size in the winter and something lighter in the summer with shorts and stuff? Or actually, you're in Arizona, so you probably don't.
Yeah, but it get cold out there. It does. But not really. I think I used to maybe do that, but I'll still wear the same thing most of the time every day.
Where do you carry?
Appendix carry.
Appendix?
Probably depends. Now, if I'm got a suit on and I'm not wanting that front to get messed up, the Marine, you got to have the gig line perfect and everything. So I'll go more of a 4 o'clock carry at that point, and I'll just change the clip on the holster and move it back there.
Right on. Well, I got a buddy over at SIG. His name's Jason. I don't know. You might know him, but I think he's the VP of marketing or the vice president of marketing. But he got really excited when I told him you were coming over there, so he wanted me to give this to you.
Man, dude.
I don't know though.
Oh, nice. Okay, I do not have one of these.
Oh wow.
I don't. It's one of the few guns
I'm actually
I don't
surprised.
have, man. No. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jason. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's the 365 Legion. They redid their optics line. They ported that slide. It's all metal.
So this is the other optic that you'll see me now. I'm not going to carry an Acro on my Glock 48 or my SIG. I run the X Romeo on every concealed gun that I have.
Oh wow!
So nice. That is, in my opinion, one of the best optics on the market right now for these smaller, compact, subcompact guns. Really happy with that optic. So that's what's on my 48 and on my 365 with the Icarus frame.
They got those. They came out with some. I think they're new. They got some mags. I think they're are they 21 rounds in the
Yeah,
in the mag plus one?
that's awesome. That's a perfect carry gun right there, man.
But
And I carry the 20 rounder in my pocket for my Glocks as well. So
Oh, really?
this is a good, yeah. And that's the problem. Like a lot of people don't like the Glock because it's got the plastic bags. But if you go with the Shield Arms mags, you can carry a higher capacity. But SIG's already doing that. So this is awesome. Thank you, man.
yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Well, let's talk about. Do you carry a blade?
I do. Did I bring? I don't think I brought that blade up here.
Actually, before we go to blade, let's talk about the holster. I love your holsters, man. Love your holsters. What are you carrying? What holster is it?
So I run the Incog X, which is something that it was kind of a funny story actually, because I just saw your EDC video the other day, and you held up a holster at the end, and you said, I think it's called an Incog or something like that. And I chuckled for a second because I'd already shipped Laura, your team, a little box, a gift for appreciation and just gratitude for having me on the show. And so I said, well, it's the Incog, and we developed the Incog about 10 years ago, and this is the Incog X. So this is the 10-year, the 10-year anniversary.
Nice.
That we did a collaboration with Safariland. They called us and said, hey, we'd love some assistance in our inside the waistband line, and you guys have always done it well. We had sunsetted the older holster with the past company, and I was about to do it myself, and I was like, well, man, I've always been sponsored by Safariland. I've always been a pro shooter with them, and said that's the holster I've always carried all my life, and operationally, whether I was in, military, contracting, and as a law enforcement officer, I've always carried Safariland. So I was like, that's who I'd really like to do the holster with, anyways. So here is an Incog X holster, and it is a multi-fit, multi-light, so you can put Surefire lights or Stream lights on there.
Oh, nice.
So if you got the TLR7, which I think you carry, that'll fit perfectly in there. So I think like 8 different lights will fit in it.
This is awesome.
And we re-injection molded the clip strut, so it's all one piece instead of having like 6 or 7 different pieces like a lot of companies will do. So there's less screws to come out, and you know how that's a pain in the ass. Multiple RDS, every red dot will fit on that as well, and multiple gun lengths. So that Legion to a short 365 to the tactical editions to the comps all fit in that holster. So you don't need to buy 8 holsters for 8 different guns. I can't stand that. I don't do my consumer like that, but a lot of holster companies will be like, no, let's make a specific fit for everything so they can make more money. At the end of the day, I think that's a disgrace, and I wouldn't do that to a customer. So we wanted to try to open that up and be multi-gun fit, multi-light fit, multi-RDS fit, and it's convenient, less pieces to fall apart. And so
this is awesome.
Here's the newest design.
I'm gonna rave about it for a minute. I never ran in the pants inside the waistband holsters when I was contracting for the agency or when I was at the SEAL teams. I just hated the feel of it. I didn't like it, so I always wore a leather one or a Kydex one at 3 o'clock. And then I got out, and we were both starting our businesses together. I think this guy Manny over at Palm Beach Tactical.
Oh yeah,
he's got to be like your biggest fan of all time.
Manny's awesome.
But we were both starting our businesses together, and I was like, I just fucking hate wearing inside the pants because I can't find anything comfortable. And he pitched me one of your holsters, and dude, they're the most comfortable ones I've ever had. And I'm it's not bullshit. I've been wearing it for probably since around 2015, so almost 10 years now.
Thanks, man.
It's fuzzy, but there's no hair on it, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But
it's antimicrobial, so it's gonna sweat, but it's not gonna stink.
And
plus it adds a little comfort as well.
Yeah, it's super comfortable, and or as comfortable as you can get. And then I know you can wear these with a suit. I like the deep concealment.
Mm-hmm.
I can't ever figure out how to wear it with a suit. Maybe you can show me. But
yeah, the clips will hang out, just a reverse tuck. It's kind of weird. That's why sometimes I'll even, wearing a suit, put it to 3 or 4 o'clock.
Right on.
But you can do it.
But yeah, thank you, man. Every time I buy a new piece, the next place I go is to get one of your holsters. So thank you. I really
welcome, man.
appreciate that. Blade. You carry a blade?
I do.
What do you got?
Carry a couple different ones. We have a good partnership with Tor Knives. I love Tor. Those guys are phenomenal dudes. Military guys, all military-owned veteran business. And I carry their folders, which I don't have on me because it's shipping in their box. But I did bring you one of our collaborations.
Oh man,
Called the Darter. Kind of a spin-off of an old dagger, but also an EDC everyday carry knife that has a kind of a survival aspect to it as well. I love fieldcraft. I love survival.
very cool.
So you can see that serration on the back is good for getting into the field work if you need to. Or if you're in a reverse lock or an arm bar or something, you can still have that side of the blade to mess somebody up if you need to. But it's a nasty little sticker. You got to be careful with it.
This is awesome.
Yeah. And it's got the optional Velcro kit inside of it, so you can just sandwich it between a plate carrier or a chest rig, and you put that on the sheath. And then, of course, it's got the UT clip on there, which we love, that you can put in a pocket or in your pant line. So some options there.
Very cool.
And that's the blood stripe version with the shadow darter, as we call it. Most of our products are named after dragonflies, so that's the darter dragonfly.
So this is awesome. You probably don't want to hear this, but I'm going to frame it and put it in the studio. I probably won't carry it because I like a little, we're sentimental around here, Travis.
Oh, dude, I am too. Yeah.
But it'll be displayed proudly in the studio, and we'll put it in glass that way in case I need it.
Break
Use the
glass.
axe.
Yeah.
But thank you. But do you have any gear that you don't design? You design. It seems like you design, or at least have a hand in designing, just about everything that you put on your body.
Gear that do I have anything on me that I don't design?
I think it's really cool that one, that you even have the ability to.
Look, you see these things? These new
No, what is
chargers? It's a new militarized chargers, 10,000 milliamp system. That thing's great for having in your pocket for just charging your waterproof. You can drive over with a car. And it fits like perfectly in a little flashbang pouch for JTACs and stuff, man. You just plug into it and power your phones, and those things are phenomenal. And I've been carrying that every day. Bought on Amazon for like $49.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I carry that a lot of times, or if it's not on my body, in my little backpack, it's on my belt, my gun belt, so I can charge up, whatever I'm using in the field.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's something I don't.
So
I
there
didn't
is one
really
thing.
make that. It's got to be something else. Little EDC kit, something I made with Brian Black at ITS Tactical. I always carry a, hemostatic pack and wrap.
What's in here?
That is, that's going to be a hemostatic agent for blood clot, and then there's going to be a tourniquet in there, like a wrap, and then a nitrile gloves.
And you developed this too, or
We did.
collaborate?
We worked together on that. Yeah.
Nice.
We worked together on that. And then this, of course, I never leave home without a tourniquet. This is the Snake Staff Systems tourniquet. And I happen to have these are two of my favorite products. I know you're familiar with Snake Staff.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've seen you hand them out to people. I have my glasses on here. Let's get hooked in. But Ben and Arias, we helped them develop the Snake Staff System tourniquet in the beginning. Not develop, but we did a lot of the production stuff and helped them get pricing and materials, and did a couple of samples and stuff for them, and got them into the soft goods world. So awesome tourniquet. This 1-inch design will do the same thing as a cat tourniquet will. Because if you look at a cat tourniquet, it's the middle of it, which is where the 1-inch band is. So this will actually do the same thing. Then they have a bigger
Interesting.
version of the Snake Staff Systems tourniquet that is even, in my opinion, better than the cat. And of course, with the Chemlite ID marker in the carabiner style clip for the windlass, I think it's a phenomenal design. Another company that is never ever do I leave home without one of these. Fieldcraft and survival is one of my big kind of passions, on top of a lot of other passions. But this is Exotac. This is the Exotac fire starter. So you unscrew it to get your ferro rod, and then unscrew it again to get your striker. Then turn it around, And then that's when you got your
Nice.
mark. So that's beautifully CNC machine, amazing website, beautiful products. And they just do a phenomenal job. So if you look, you want like a really high end kind of fire starter, I think they make the best. I've been carrying that one for probably 8 years, man. And I've got tons of them. They make little plastic ones as well. So when we teach our survival classes, we always use as much exotac stuff as we can.
Very
Great
cool.
company.
Very cool.
So that I had nothing to do with this. So that's all of them. Wallets, EDC wallets. This is our Incog wallet. So this we have a little called a snake doctor. It's a little G10 blade. I don't have it on me right now, but what you do is got a little sheath that goes in here, and it's a literal push dagger. And so you take your finger and you can hand your wallet to somebody and literally slip out the dagger, and you can't even see it.
Nice.
And that way you could hold it in your hand and be on standby, or you could, let him feel his own blood in his eyes.
Was that your idea?
This is our wallet. Yeah, this is
That's
ours. So
awesome,
we got a
man.
fold out design, and then I got the Apple ID in there to kind of, because I lose my shit constantly.
Very cool. I was just talking about I didn't know they were G10. I think I just called them plastic blades.
Yeah, it's
I was
most
just
likely
talking about those. You don't have to answer this. Have you been able to get that through the airport?
I have accidentally, and I pull it out. I'm like, oh man, this didn't go off. So it's that's a visual thing. If it's not, it's
Yeah.
if they see that and they say, well, that's not right. But half the time they don't see the stuff in there. I've been through with full mags that I've forgotten, like, oh shit, and it gets through. And then
Yeah.
there's times like, hey, police report, man, you got a full magazine. I'm like, yeah, sorry, bro, just got done training. It happens, but
Do you have anything that you carry on a plane for protection?
a lot of times it'll be a pen or this guy. This is Surefire's new stiletto, and this thing is more powerful than a damn scout light on a carbine.
Wow.
So I think always having the ability to diminish somebody's visual efficiency is important, and also a hard device that you can strike with. And it's a great task light with a low, medium, and high. And then you have your emergency button on the back. So I can actually draw and shoot with this as well. But I think that's probably one of the best products. And it's shaped like a knife, so it's not that big, bulky light. And we have a co-designed light called the Deft Light with Surefire as well. That's an actual combat light. It's got a combat ring on it. I carry that on my gear, and sometimes for EDC. But that thing is just so convenient, so powerful, and it gets every job done from tasks to also shooting if I need to. And it's rechargeable, which is the best thing about it. Yeah.
How long does the charge last?
So we just came off a training. We were filming for the last 5 days in a row and shooting for the last 5 days in a row. A lot of night work and low light work. And I just charged it last night, and I was using it every night, even lighting up, subjects on the film set or whatever. And it finally turned red last night. So that was about a week worth of
Wow.
work,
Damn.
like constant work that, so typically every once a month I'll charge it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right
it's
on.
Pretty good. So, what else do I have on me? And I probably got something else hidden somewhere, but
This is great. This is all new stuff I've never seen.
this
Most of
is my Raggedy Old Flag. I did a little video on the song on this. Johnny Cash's song "Raggedy Old Flag."
Yeah.
If you've never heard it, it's phenomenal. Kind of reminds you of what it means to be an American. And I went off to Somalia, Operation Continue Hope, after the whole shit had happened in '93. This is '94. And when I got back, they handed out a bunch of these little flags, like the little pocket flags. And I was like, okay, that's cool, whatever. Threw on my gear and never really thought about it. And then when I went on my next deployment, I remember going through my stuff and finding it. I was like, what I'm going to bring with me? Because it's always good to have some type of American flag or something with an identifier, or just, keepsake. And I folded it up and I made a little duct tape thing for it, and I put it in my helmet. It was on my chest rigs. And so this flag here has been with me since 1994 on every single operation I've ever been on.
Wow.
Every combat operation, every training, almost every skydive, which is over 5,000 skydives now, every combat dive, every country. So I think it's got 48 countries on it now. It's all tattered and rusted and raggedy from Liberia, West Africa, because we needed a flag because the Liberians thought we were South Africans, and they'd haul ass because
Yep.
they're if you know, you know. So we're like, we need a freaking identity. We got a freaking American flag on. I was like, yeah, bro, I got my little flag. So we duct taped it to our antenna on the commando jeeps we had, and so then everybody came out and started talking to us again. So it's came in handy. And one day I was sitting there, I was listening to Johnny Cash's old Raggedy Old Flag song. I'm like, wait, I've got a Raggedy Old Flag. And I went in there and pulled this thing out. It was actually in a frame at that time. Because I was like, I'm done now. I'm going to put it in the frame. And then I realized, like, this thing ain't done. So let's put it back in the pocket. So we end up making these little Velcro keepers. And it's hook on the inside, so I can stick it like on my helmet. I've got another one that's inside of my helmet. And
That's very cool, man.
And then you have your whoops, did it backwards there. So the funny part is I brought you one of these.
You brought one?
I did, because we give out every package that we ship out the door now. Every class, we will fold flags together, and you get your Raggedy Old Flag one day, and your flag can have stories on it. Like my kid, he just joined the Marine Corps. He's just got to recon training school, so he's about to get in the pipeline to hit it hard. He's got his.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So anyways, I was going to give you one, but in the airport, there was an older gentleman who had a Korean Marine Corps hat on, and he was having trouble, and he was on the long escalator, and I was coming up on him, and I could tell he was getting nervous because he sees the end coming. And I went up and I saw his hat, and I said, "Hey, let me grab your ruck, old man." And so I grabbed his suitcase and helped him off. He's like, thank you. I was getting a little nervous there. And I said, Korea? He's like, yep. And I said, hey, Semper Fi, brother. And I reached in the pocket and I gave him that one. So it was yours, but he was more deserving of it at the time. So I'm going to ship you one when I get back, man. So I hand him out. I carry him with me. And if anybody I see that I just feel a connection with, I always hand him. So I thought I had more, but, and I can't give you this one, but I'll make sure I get it. Because I want people to have that same opportunity that I was afforded when somebody gave me this thing, this piece of material with colors on it that, now one day I can look back and go, if this thing could talk. And so I want everybody to have that same opportunity. So we give them out. I think we probably give out 500 a day, with our orders and things like that. So
that's a cool story too.
Reminds me what I stand for and who I stand with and what I stand against.
That's awesome. I love that you did that too. That's like something that I've always very much admired about the Marine Corps is, like, you hear about this brotherhood stuff and all these other units, but a lot of it goes away, when it's over. And you guys, like the Marine Corps, it does not die. And that is really fucking cool to see, man. But I'll bet that made that.
I know it annoys a lot of people, but it's a pretty cool fraternity.
Doesn't annoy me. I think it's awesome. I wish more of us were like that. But well, Travis, we're kind of wrapping up, and one thing that I always ask is, last 4 to 8 years, crime has just really increased in certain parts of the country. A lot of people are taking self-protection and protecting their family a lot more seriously than they used to. We saw lines and lines of people in California buying guns when the BLM riots and Antifa riots, and stores are getting raided, and so there's a lot of new American people coming to firearms trying to find ways to protect themselves. And so what I want to ask you is, what you as a tactical trainer, one of the best in the business, if not the best, what are you seeing? What are the biggest mistakes that newbies are making when it comes to self-protection?
It's such a hard answer to what I would consider a simple question. The the hardest decision is getting into that, right? So and I'm seeing this influx of a lot of people as well, like not just from California, but all around the country. Our classes are starting to fill up with people that don't have the same like interest or values as the typical gun guy that comes to a class. And so I think that they're nervous to get involved into our world. It's just like women, it's a man's world, unfortunately. But everybody should have the right to defend themselves. Providing you have good morals and ethics, right, and values. And that's what our courses are about a lot. It's about a belief system. It's identifying what you believe in, and then being vulnerable enough to come out to a class. I know sometimes it takes a lot of time. It's expensive, but this isn't like, it's even you buy a car, you jump in it, you drive down the street. Pretty easy. You carry a gun every day for a living. You have to understand the consequences that comes with taking on a higher standard of care for your entire society, because that's what you're doing. If you carry a gun and you walk outside and you go to a store, go to church, go to work, whatever you do with a gun, you are introducing lethal force everywhere you go. So that's a huge responsibility. And I think we as a community need to be more accepting to everybody that comes in. I think that's something that is lacking in our industry and is creating a big misconception. There's an internet fight going on right now about civilians don't rate the training that military does. And this is coming from a tier 1 guy. And it's like, hey, bro, don't forget, you were a civilian before you joined the military.
Mm-hmm.
And freedom is not created by the United States military. It's not from ships and planes going across oceans and tanks rolling across battlefields and dudes like us kicking doors in Turkestan. That's not how freedom's created. Freedom is created by living free. And that comes with the American citizen, the people. And I think everybody, now that we are starting to realize, okay, this is not the same world that it used to be, and we need to be more prepared. We all need to really tap into our sense of duty, which is lacking in this country. And you can look at other countries for comparison with that. Switzerland, big gun culture company, lots of very strict laws with it, but they all shoot and they all take pride in it. They train. They don't just go out to have fun like we do and influence and do, stuff on Instagram. They train. And when you ask them like, well, why are you guys not have the same problems that we do in America? And they will answer, well, because America's lost its sense of duty. And it's like, whoa. So take pride in that. If you want to go out and buy a gun and protect yourself, you have to take the next level. And just because it's your Second Amendment right, it could be my right to not have to not, what's a good example? Maybe I could fly a jet just like that if I wanted to, but I'm not going to just jump into it and take off and think that I know how to fly. And I think a lot of people in the American culture can grab a gun and go, oh, how hard can it be? You grip it, you point it, you shoot it. It's like, well, that's true. But when it comes down to being in a gunfight, do you have an idea of what your physiology is going to do? Do you have an idea of what's going to happen after that gunfight? The responsibility of carrying is the easy part. It's when you actually have to use it and then deal with the consequences of your potential mistake, which hopefully doesn't happen. But even if it's perfect gunfight, you high five at the end of it, you still have to live with that the rest of your life. And I don't think people think about that enough. So whether you're in the world of shooting right now, or you are trying to get into the world of shooting because you're a little nervous and scared of what the future holds, which is a good feeling to have, to become prepared but not be paranoid, I think you got to think about those responsibilities and accept everybody in right now.
Great advice. Great advice. You'd mentioned, I'm not familiar with the internet beef, but you had mentioned there's some kind of conflict going on whether civilians should be receiving high-end tactical training.
High-end training, equipment, plate carriers, night vision, all that stuff.
Yeah. I kind of used to be maybe along the lines of, that guy too that says, that the population probably shouldn't have access to that kind of training. But, just thinking about the way the country's gone, in the past 4 to 8 years, I mean, my mindset has changed. My opinion on that has changed. I mean, this is kind of a heavy discussion for an everyday carry pocket dump, but I mean, we're funding the Taliban $40 to $80 billion a week. We have every single cartel imaginable coming through that southern border. The terrorists are sending people up through the southern border. We got Chinese state now operating within our country, which actually I thought was kind of bullshit for a long time because they have so many other angles on us. But I've been getting kind of a little involved with my local sheriff's department. They're showing me all kinds of stuff just right here, about Chinese state working right here, and they're tracking them throughout the whole country. So these terrorists, we haven't even covered this yet. We're going to have a panel on this with a bunch of intel people, but the terrorist organizations, I can't remember who's claiming this because they're all kind of working together now. There's 21 different terrorist organizations already back in Afghanistan coming together to come here. And Hamza bin Laden is like the head of this shit. He's marrying into all these other things. And they are projecting that when they do hit, that the casualties will be anywhere from 50 to 60,000 people. And Sarah Adams, who's a good friend of mine, she writes an intel brief for our newsletter every week. She just posted a video on her Instagram that showed Taliban training. It was either Taliban or Al-Qaeda, I can't remember which one. Basically the same thing nowadays. These fuckers are good, man.
Yeah.
They are
They've had
really
time.
good, and it also looks very familiar to some of the stuff that I've seen on the internet. But just for little heads up, 9/11 was a $500,000 budget. Now they are getting $1 billion a year from the U.S. government, and the U.S. government already came out and admitted that they've accidentally sent $239 million to the Taliban. Pentagon just failed again. Their seventh audit? It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
So you better fucking be ready.
Well, even the other day, I made a post after the election results, and I wrote, "Congrats, Americans, bravo!" Right? We did a job that was, I say the side that we would think is the more ethically and morally sound, not lying, not the deep state, not a bunch of pieces of shit running our country. We now have an opportunity to make a difference again. But I also said, don't get complacent, because it's never over until it's over for them. Well, people didn't like the word them. People didn't like the political aspect there. I'm like, you have to be very careful right now getting complacent, because we're not there yet. You still have 2 months left of things, and look at all the money that just started getting pumped into Ukraine, which is the biggest money laundering cesspool and drug and child sex trafficking country in the world before we became it, by the way, in the last couple of years. Yeah, there's 400,000 Chinese military-age males that have been documented in the last 4 years that have crossed the border. CENTCOM, I've got some insiders there. They've been tracking targets from the Middle East into Southcom before they come up across the gap into the border. 10,000 they hit like last year of known tiered trained dudes like you're talking about that are a problem. So if you have between 30 and 40 million, which is the guess from a lot of guys in the Border Patrol and stuff that I work with, it's
30 to 40 million
people have come across the border in the last 4 years. So all the government numbers that you're hearing right now, what is it, 11 million here and 7 million there and 14 million here? It's more than that. And of course, these guys that they have is like, well, how do you know there's 10,000 people here? Because they have their facial recognition. They have blimps and stuff on the borders. They have sensor equipment. These guys are coming across, and there's a picture of their face. And like, yeah, this guy's here now. This guy's here now. Hey, I say Homeland, what do you want us to do about it? The administration has our hands tied. That's a serious problem, and not including, the rest of them that are coming, as you're speaking about. And the rest that have already been here. If you think about the population of extremist Islam, just that population alone, which I'm not just singling out here because there's 33,000 gangs in the United States of America. There's 8 massive cartels on top of the 21 terrorist organizations. That's a recipe for disaster. So when people say, oh, there's going to be a civil war if the Democrats do this or the Republicans, it's like, I mean, I don't know if you remember, like, first wave of Iraq, man. We went into the country thinking, oh, it's Iraqi 10th Corps Army we're going to be up against. Next thing you know, it's like, hey, who are you? I'm a freedom fighter. Who are you? I'm a freedom fighter for this group. Who are you? It's like, and you have all these people popping out of the woodworks. Now think about, I looked up the numbers on this. Just look up how many militia groups are in the United States. The number will blow your mind. So when people think, so
What is the number? Do you know?
I can check real quick, but it's a pretty big number.
Like 1,000?
I think it's over that, yeah.
Wow.
Syria real quick, but it's big. And even if it might, I think it's over 2,000.
Holy
It is.
shit.
Now those could be like gun groups and stuff like up
Yeah.
in the that they've been identified as. Well, shit. Look at
Yeah, shit,
Mike
they
Glover's.
They named Mike Glover a fucking militia.
Yeah, they call him
like
a domestic terrorist
terrorist or
organization
some shit.
for creating the American contingency. Seriously, yeah. So if you subscribe to that and subscribe to that newsletter and enrolled into the American contingency, you are now watched and looked at as probably a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
So again, the numbers could be skewed, but regardless, they're big. The Chinese are big. The extremist populations from different groups around the world are big. The 40 million people that come across, we can't say they're all bad, even though they committed a crime illegally crossing the border. That's sorry, you screwed up, man. There's a way to get to the country. But, when you go down and you talk to Border Patrol guys and you say, well, who are the majority of these people that are coming across out of the big number? And like one of my buddies the other day is like, he goes, there's a ton of homosexuals right now crossing the border, tons and tons and tons. He goes, probably 8 out of 10 will come across and say, well, why are you coming to America? And they're like, because I'm homosexual. My country will freaking kill me for it. My country will abuse and scrutinize me for it. And I want to come to America where I can be free to express myself, because that's what America is known for. That's what we fight for, right? And he's like, yeah, it's really interesting numbers of how many people are just trying to get away.
Do you think that's true, or do you think that's a cover story?
It's both. There's probably a truth to it. They want to get away from that tyranny that might. I see people in the gun community like that too. I have a couple friends. One of them I found out later was homosexual and became really good friends. And I said, well, dude, how do you vote? Do you vote for an anti-gay pro-gun president, or do you vote for a pro-gun anti-gay president? He's like, look, man, it's pretty simple. You can take my guns away from me anytime, but you'll never take my homosexuality. You'll never take my sexuality away from me. It's just my preference, bro. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, damn, that's a really interesting. He's like, so who do you think I vote for? I vote for the guy that's going to give me the ability to have freedom and security, not the guy that's bitching about diversity, inclusion, and equality. And I'm like, wow, that's an interesting thought, because I would have never guessed that. He's like, if you can't take my fundamental true self away, but you can take something else away from me that's not that fundamental, like a gun, of course I'm going to vote for a pro-gun president.
Interesting.
Wow. So I think there's that also in foreign countries where there's a little bit of truth to why they're trying to get away, whether it's sexual preference or something else, or political preference, religious preferences, obviously. So I find that interesting with some of those numbers. Do I think the majority of 8 out of 10 are all? No, not all gay. But I think, we could say that even if, what's 1% of 40 million? Was that 40,000?
Yeah.
Maybe. Math for Marines, so forgive me. But let's say that's 40.
Would be 10%. So
4 million would be 10%. Okay, 10%. Let's say all these people illegally cross the border. And let's say 10% of them have bad intentions, just in some way. Maybe they're going to harbor somebody that has really, really bad intentions as an actor, or maybe they're just harboring people and fall into that bad category. 10% is 4 million people. How big is the U.S. military?
yeah, so 1% will be about what, 400,000?
Yeah, 1% would be
400,000.
400,000. That's bigger than the combatant forces of the United States military and law enforcement combined. There's only 800,000 cops in the United States. People don't realize that. That's it.
Wow.
So you think about a cop, man, like each police officer is responsible out of 340 million people. I mean, you're basically a battalion commander. You have that many people that you're responsible for, up to potentially 1,000 people. That's a lot of people to police when you look at the big picture of things. So when people say there's going to be a civil war against the North and the South, it's like, no, you have 33,000 gangs. You have, all these terrorist organizations, all these cartels, all these militias, all these people that will fall into what we call common enemy intimacy and choose a group to be with. I have nothing intimate with you at all, but I do have a common enemy in that I can say, hey, Shawn, if you're going to talk shit about this guy, do it next to me. That's the problem with the gun industry, man. That's the problem with people tearing each other apart in the defense industry. It's the problem in our country. It's the problem with race. It's the problem with sexual preference and religion is everybody's trying to say, hey, come on my side and talk shit about the other side. It's like, how about we all just realize that we're creating more division and we need to have community, which is the only thing that combats division.
It's a great point. I think the bottom line to kind of wrap this up is, the government isn't functioning right now. It's just not. Law enforcement isn't functioning. The military isn't functioning. Sure as shit isn't functioning. The border patrol is not functioning. None of these things that are supposed to be protecting us are really functioning at a high level, if at all, right now. And
not to benefit any of us anyways.
And nobody's coming to save you. And for those of you that live in Los Angeles, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, New York City, you've figured that out by now. And so...
natural selection.
Yep. So you better start learning how to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Because we just talked about all these threats that are already here, and they're just waiting for the perfect time. And on that note... Let's wrap this up and get into your personal story.
All right.
Cool. Thank you, Travis.
Thanks, bro.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.